So this little guy, and you can even see still some marks on it from when I crashed it. All right, once again, thanks again for joining me tonight, everybody. I am Dan the Ultra Dad. I like everything long distance running, especially trail running. And if you haven't joined my channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button, like the video, or hit the bell notification if you'd like to be notified when my videos come out. So here in Southern Ohio, we were supposed to get maybe 3 to 6 inches, I think, and we ended up on the rain ban. So we got a lot of rain. I was hoping to go out and run in the snow. Unfortunately, it's now, like I said, slush, so that is not as much fun. So today I decided to hit the treadmill, and it actually works pretty well. So every once in a while it'll slip. You feel like you're gonna fall off, but that's okay. Tonight I'd like to talk about my 3 tips for beginning drone user. You know me, I like to run, I like to go, I like to run up mountains, I like to run in the woods, I like picturesque scenes. And so the drone does help me capture those moments. And this actually could apply to anybody. You don't have to like running like I do. Stick around and we will go over these 3 top tips that I think everybody could benefit from following. I own 2 drones, only one is operational, and that brings me to the first major tip, and that is don't crash. So it's kind of a joke, but true. Be careful with your drone. Make sure you follow the rules. Make sure you get the appropriate licensure. If you're doing it for profit, you have to have a license through the FAA. If you're not, if it's just recreational, then you don't need that, but you still have to register your drone if it exceeds a certain size. So one of the most popular drones right now is the Mavic Mini, and that drone is light enough that you do not have to register it. But I do not own the Mavic Mini. I had to register mine. I think I spent $5, $10 doing it, and my drone is the Mavic Air 2. So this is the Mavic Air 2, and I love this drone. It's the second drone I've owned, so I'll talk about the first one in a minute, but this one is still in good shape, and this is the one that I still use. And if you've watched some of my videos, then you know and you've seen the footage. So this is the Mavic Air 2. Has a really nice gimbal camera right here. The battery life is really nice as well. I think it's like 25 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes. So I've never crashed it. It's done great for me. It has proximity sensors on the back, a couple here in the front, and one on the bottom. Its weakest point though is on the sides. So if you're flying it, banking it, then you have to be very careful because it can run into things. But it has a lot of neat features, and maybe someday I'll do a deep dive into this. But this is the Mavic Air 2. So while I'm on that topic, let's introduce you to my first drone, this little guy right here, the Spark. Okay, this is the DJI Spark, not Mavic. It came out about 5 years ago. It really kind of took the drone scene by storm because it was only $500. The Spark is a really nice drone. A lot of people still use it. Has a nice camera. It's a 2-axis gimbal camera versus the 3-axis gimbal on the Mavic Air 2. So this little guy, and you can even see still some marks on it from when I crashed it. So that's kind of the imprint of the tile on its final resting place. So the Spark, I was flying it downtown in a city that will go unnamed, and I crashed it. Yeah, so actually the blades, or the propellers, work okay. I replaced, a couple of them broke, but I put them back on. The issue was the motor inside got damaged, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So rest in peace, Spark. That happened a couple years ago, and I went for probably a good year before I bought another one, just because I felt so embarrassed that I had broken it, and that was some money down the tubes. Tip number 2, do your research. So with my drones, I found that I'm best at flying them when I follow advice that I've gotten from others as far as how to best get footage out of it and how to make sure that I'm doing it correctly. There are so many resources on YouTube, plenty of places that you can Google and read, and plenty of blogs on using your drone. So definitely do your research, and not only for the use of the drone, but for the purchase of the drone. There are a lot of different features with different kinds of drones. The Mavic Air 2 is definitely a consumer drone, but it does well, and it could be used for things like wedding, for professional uses. But again, make sure you get the appropriate licensure. So do your research. All right, so the third and final tip I have for the beginner drone user is related to taking beautiful cinematic footage. And the key is to go slow. The first thing you want to do when you get your drone is to see how fast it can go and fly it low. Of course, that's going to lead to issues with tip number 1, crashing your drone. But you want to do that stuff. But as far as video, and also, of course, taking photos, but video in particular, since that's what I do the most of, taking long panning, slow shots, and doing reveals and learning those different angles is really the key to getting good looking footage from your drones. I've taken many videos going fast in sport mode. With DJI, there are 3 different speed modes. There is tripod mode, normal mode, and sport mode. So of course, the first thing you want to do is get into sport mode and see how fast you can go, and you record that video. But the problem is that most of that footage is not something that you're going to want to put into YouTube or put on a video. You might see the propellers because of the angle of the drone when it's going that fast. But also, the viewer really doesn't, unless it's a very specific kind of niche part of the video, they really don't want to see footage going quickly by them. The key is they want to see something that's cinematic. They want to see something that's slow, panning, and it's really beautiful. Honestly, I recommend tripod mode. Normal is okay, but I don't really film any footage in sport mode anymore because it's not cinematic. Top 3 tips. Tip number 1, follow the rules, don't crash. Make sure you have the right license, make sure you follow the legal rules, and that you're careful with your drone, not only for the safety of the drone, but for the people around you. Number 2, do your research. There's lots to learn out there about the drone. And number 3, slow is better. Slow panning shots, tripod shots versus sport mode is probably the best way to go if you want to get the most out of your drone footage. So those are my 3 top tips for now. I still have a lot to learn, obviously. I still do my research as well. There are a lot of resources on YouTube, especially, where the real pros have just completely dissected these drones and will tell you exactly what to do with them. So that's what I recommend. Here's to the next couple months. Hopefully the weather will be improving and we can get out there and do even more training and get ready for our races that are coming up this year, right? Fingers crossed. So, all right, well, have a great weekend. And again, thanks again for subscribing, liking this video, hitting the bell notification. Those all help my channel and I appreciate it. Thanks again for watching to the end of the video and have a good night. We'll catch you in the next one.